This podcast is brought to you by Absolute Collagen, which is all about reducing the signs of aging. Available in convenient powder or liquid sachets. Find out more at absolutecollagen.com. Does this feel like an election?
No.
No. Alistair Campbell, your result is... Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's My Age Again? This is the podcast that asks, how old are you? How old is your body? And what do you do to stay young? In this episode, we're putting those questions to the writer, podcaster, and campaigner, Alistair Campbell. He began his career in political journalism, but he's still probably best known for being the press secretary to the Labour Prime Minister, Tony Blair. He's 67, but is his body? Did the years in frontline politics keep him young or age his bones? His partner is the esteemed journalist, Fiona Miller, who he's been with for 45 years, and they both have 3 grown-up children. We'll reveal his biological age later in the show when we're joined by our scientist, Dr. Nicola Conlon. Mr. Alistair Campbell.
Hello.
Do you have a title that I'm missing? Lord.
Nope.
How not?
Because I didn't want one.
Were you offered one and you declined?
Yes.
Not even an OBE?
We don't have an empire.
Okay.
So why would you want the Order of the British Empire, which doesn't exist?
This is why you're so fresh. This is why, as you get older, you are more and more beloved by the young.
Oh.
Do you feel more relevant than ever?
No.
Next question. You...
Do you want long? What do you want? Do you want short,
No,
long,
but listen.
medium? Okay.
I am, for the first time in my life, very intimidated
Oh.
because I've never interviewed a former press secretary.
Right. Well, they're to a penny.
Right.
Well,
Well,
not to a penny, but they're on that. It's not that big a deal.
it's a little intimidating, like that you were offered a lordship and you didn't want it. Like you're just too cool.
No, I just can't. I can't imagine being in there.
You're too principled.
No, maybe. I hope maybe.
Not attracted to teenagers. What is it?
No, I don't mind the.
Oh, good, yeah.
I like being liked by young people.
Oh.
Insofar as I am. In fact, yesterday I went to the Mutt Hut, which is now a cafe.
Uh-huh.
And they said that they had this young girl who's 16, she's called Tyler, and she works there on a Sunday between 10 and 2, and she just loves me. So I went in and saw her, and I gave her a book yesterday, and that one.
So I love actually how attractive to a young demographic the book is. It's pink.
Do you know why it's pink?
Tell me.
When we were designing the cover, they thought they didn't want it just to be Labour.
Yep.
And bear in mind, given it's aimed at teenagers, lots of these kids wouldn't necessarily know who I was. So most people who do know who I am would know that I was identified as Labour. So they didn't want it to be red. I obviously didn't want it to be blue. Green says green.
Yep.
So anyway, we ended up with that colour because it's the only main colour that's never been used by a political party.
I like the pink on black, and I like the font. I think you look very young and fresh, and I think I would prefer it as an audiobook, even though it is visually exciting.
I did the audio.
When I read words, because I have many small children, I would fall asleep. But I think,
How many have you got?
I don't know, at this point, only 3. But it feels like
That's
more.
same as me, it's all right.
I know, but I'm their mother. Were you very active in the children's lives when they were young?
I'd like to think I was as active as I could be.
It's difficult because you were very busy.
Yeah.
And I know that your wife, Fiona, is also very busy. And I'm not discounting her input, but I did see an interview with Barack Obama and Michelle, where Michelle Obama divulged that she didn't like him for a number of years. She said, I didn't like him for a few years because it wasn't fair that we were both educated, that we both had these children, and I was definitely doing the lion's share whilst he was out Obama-ing.
Becoming president.
Right. But I feel like if my husband were becoming president and not, golfing, I wouldn't mind.
So do you think Melania doesn't mind that Trump has become president and just plays golf? Do you go for the idea that there are several Melanias?
I didn't think so until the Pope's funeral. Under the veil, I thought, who is that?
Who is that? Yeah.
Alistair Campbell, you are 67,
I am.
which shocked me.
Did it?
Yeah, because you look great, I think.
Thank you.
And you have a very relevant young daughter,
I do.
Grace Campbell, whom I admire.
Yeah.
And
She loves you.
I love her. I love her. And she's doing so well so quickly.
It's tough though, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, she has to work really hard.
She should work really hard.
I agree she should work hard, but it's tough. It's like, And I think at the start, when she started out, she maybe had a bit of an advantage publicity-wise because of me,
Yes.
which is fine. But then that only takes you so far. And actually it can be a negative. And I think there was a time for her when it probably was a negative. But I think she was determined to break through to that point where it was about her.
I'm excited about her. And I know that probably for you, having a daughter like that is both a benefit and a detriment because she keeps...
Detriment's a very negative word.
Well, I talk about my own
Challenge.
children much worse.
Challenge.
Grace is a challenge, okay. Because I've seen her speak very sexually, very explicitly with you on stage, in front of you. Of course, you've probably read her books.
Yeah.
Do you think that she keeps you on your toes? Does she keep you young? Or do you find that as a father that it ages you prematurely?
No, I think it keeps me young. I think what I do she's got this thing because she desperately wants to be her own person and independent, but she's also very close to us both.
Yeah.
So she likes us to be involved. So I'm always surprised when she's doing like a new show or something. She's desperate for us to be there. So we go along, and first of all, I'm one of a very small number of men who tend to be there. I'm usually the oldest person in the building, and I'm quite well known by a lot of them, and therefore I can become a bit of a distraction as the thing's going on. But what I do, I think Fiona finds it harder than I do. What I do is I manage to persuade myself mentally that I'm watching somebody else.
Great.
So I could be watching you,
Yes.
right, doing all this. I remember when she told a story, I have no idea if it's true or it's not true, about, I don't even like to say the words,
Okay.
but it involved a microphone, and the story was oral sex in the grounds of the Vatican.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're back to the Pope, aren't we? Well, it wasn't the Pope. The Pope was not there. The Pope did not approve of this at all. I found that challenging.
She won the Catholic vote, is what you're saying.
No, she definitely lost the Catholic vote
I
that night.
see.
She was performing what I think you would describe as a blowjob on a microphone.
Okay.
That I found quite tough.
Fine.
Yeah. Especially as people are looking around to see if I'm laughing.
It's fame in a different way.
She is funny, and I love people who make me laugh. I mean, I think the capacity to make people laugh, particularly if you're feeling like shit, which I often do, is good. But where she's a challenge is in her, and it's the same qualities I've got. She's got a relentlessness about her, and that can be challenging when you're a parent.
And that's the thing. We want to raise these very headstrong,
Yeah,
opinionated
yeah,
daughters, but then you forget they're your daughters, and the first person they're going to
yeah.
be headstrong against is you.
Yeah, she sometimes, I think this isn't just her, I think that generation, her generation, I've noticed, and I've noticed there's a lot of her friends, they are headstrong, and can be very, very opinionated, not always having done the research. Do you find that?
I do find that in my own household.
Yeah.
Yes.
They get opinions very quickly.
Raising a Nepo baby of my own. What else do you feel connects you to your youth then? I know you're very involved in football.
Yeah. What connects me to my youth? What connects me to my youth? Music.
Oh.
I listened to a lot of music that I listened to when I was a kid.
Will you be going to see Oasis when they're...
No, I saw them when they first came around. Mm-hmm. I actually sometimes feel, is this true? Probably not, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's the thought that came into my
Because
head.
politics, right?
I sometimes feel that when literally millions of people want to go to an event, you should hold back. Okay.
Yeah.
So when they were first really big, I did think, I think I should check this out. So I did go and see them, and they were great. I thought they were good.
Yeah.
But I'm not desperate.
But that's also a very 67 position.
Is it?
Yeah, you're like, I'll go to the matinee. If millions of people are going, I'm going to be trapped in Wembley. Count me out.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless I can get in there easily and get out easily. Yeah.
I feel the same way. And I have to tell you, we have yet to reveal your biological age on this
21.
podcast. Well, yeah, it could be.
It is. And if it's not, then your science is all to cock.
All right. So you feel 21 on the inside.
I feel mentally quite young. It's funny, like little things like at the moment, I hate to say this, but I have got a really sore knee, right?
Okay.
Now, you get a sore knee when you get into your 60s, apparently. It's just part of growing up. So when I see people walking who look 67 because their knee's gone a bit dodgy, I don't feel I have any connection with that person at all.
No.
Whereas if I see, like at the football the other day when we beat QPR 5-0, if I bump into somebody in their 20s who starts a chant,
Yeah.
I kind of want to be in there. So I feel closer to that, I think.
All right.
And I do think your kids keep you young. I do think I've managed to stay curious.
And it makes sense that mental youth is more important, more valuable, more tenable to you than physical youth. Your knee injury, it could be a football injury
It's not an injury.
from too much yobbing. Yeah.
Too much what?
Yobbing.
Yobbing.
The football chants, YOBBING.
Oh, yobbing.
I'm Canadian.
I know you are.
Going back to mental fitness,
Yeah.
I believe that that's really important to youth. And you're super sharp. Your podcast, The Rest is Politics, with ex-Tory Minister Rory Stewart, is the country's most successful podcast.
Yeah.
You are the most successful podcaster. A lot of your audience are under 30.
Yeah.
So you must be mentally very sharp. You're listened to by young people. They hang on your every word.
Do they hang on your every word? But
If you're number one.
Yeah, but we didn't really overplan this, but I do think there's something about young people. I hate saying young people like they're all the same. They're not, but the image that is set for them, partly by themselves, but also I think by kind of a more middle-aged and elderly media ecosystem, is that they're not really interested in the world around them, that they're all a bit selfish and self-obsessed and narcissistic, and it's all about Instagram and blah blah blah. But I think what it shows, the fact that over a third of our listeners are under 30, is that a lot of young people are really, really interested in the world around them, interested in politics, but just struggling to know how it relates to them. So what we try to do is to relate it to them. And that's what the books are about as well. It's about saying to kids, look, you're all political. Mm-hmm. If you go into school and you say, I hate maths, but I really like English, it's the beginnings of that's a political thing. It's about having arguments and persuading people how to have views, how to have arguments, and kind of yet still get along.
Do you ever miss being in frontline politics?
Yeah, I do. But that doesn't mean I want to do it.
No.
So I think you can miss something without feeling the passion to do it. I don't wake up every day yearning to be back there. I do wake up quite a lot of days wishing that things weren't as they are. Yeah. Thinking that, why aren't they doing this? Why did they do that? Whatever. But I think you've just got to resist that and accept that not that you're older. No. But that you're in a different stage of your life. And so is the world. Yeah, so is the world. I was going to say, do you think the game has changed? Like, you were maybe in it at a good time, same as I feel that I was young at a good time when we didn't have smartphones and I could make mistakes and get breast implants and do all of that. It was sort of the age of, girl power. Yeah. I had fun at the right time before every thought that I ever had was published on social media. Do you think maybe now wouldn't be the best time to be in frontline politics? I don't think the fundamentals have changed that much. I think politics has got harder. Yeah. Not just social media is a part of it, no doubt about that. I think it's just got harder because people are more demanding and less tolerant of their leaders and of politicians generally. But also the fact that, when you see something like Trump, there's a guy who's nearly 80. Yeah. Right? He hasn't changed. No. So when you say, do you think, yes, politics has changed and he's part of that change, and yet I don't think that's to do with age. Mm-hmm. I would say you look at most of the political leaders in the world today. You look at just like Keir Starmer, Macron in France, Friedrich Merz, the new chancellor in Germany. I could imagine any of those three 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's the world around them that's changed. Mm-hmm. And what I think the politicians are struggling to do, and this is why it's so confusing that Trump seems to have worked out a way to do it, is how to adapt to all this change. The problem is that the ones who seem to adapt best to it, people like Trump, people like Johnson, people like Nigel Farage, the ones adapting best to the new ecosystem are the ones who are actually worst for the people that they're meant to be helping and representing. Yeah. That's the real challenge we've got. And that's about bringing on a new generation of political leaders. Yes. That's why I'm quite excited about, we've got coming up on the podcast quite soon, Gabriel Attal, who was in his 30s when he was Prime Minister of France, and he's probably going to run for president. I think we just need to be finding young people to... I don't mind if people in their 20s think, this idea that you're not, I don't think it matters how old you are. What is it about you specifically, though, that you think
I know you're trying to make sense of politics for this younger listenership that you have, but do you think you have any other attributes that make them want to trust you, listen to you?
I honestly, I hate sort of, because it sounds like you're going to boast in a way, but I think that, I don't know is the answer, but I think what they say is that when they, especially if when they get to know a little bit about me, is that they think I genuinely say what I think. Now,
Yeah.
the truth is, I don't always. None of us do. But in general, I'm very comfortable in how I project myself and what I say and what I think.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is that they're always fascinated when I tell them about struggles that I've had in the past, particularly mental health related. They're always interested in how you get through really difficult times or crises and so forth. So,
And some of them have difficult times.
of course they do.
Their mum sometimes refuses to drive them to the mall.
Really? Does that happen in the modern age?
It's a
But
30-year-old.
They could just phone Childline.
They could get an Uber,
Yeah.
but they've got struggles as well.
No, they have got struggles.
Whereas
I think
you
a lot,
had to grapple with your involvement in the kicking off of the Iraq War. You know what I mean?
I've
Similar.
never heard it described as kicking off.
The kicking
before.
off of.
The kicking off of. Is that related to yobbing?
It was very yobbish, if you don't mind me saying.
Okay, you're allowed to say that.
Mental health and alcoholism. I know that you have been very transparent about, and it helps so many people. Was all of this really at its worst during the frontline politics?
No, I don't think so.
I would be drinking if I was in frontline
No,
politics.
I stopped. I mean, I drink a bit now, but I stopped drinking in 1986
Oh, okay.
after a psychotic breakdown.
Yes.
So I went 13 years without touching it. And then I had a drink and I just thought, didn't like that very much. So, which is kind of quite weird, which makes me think maybe I wasn't a classic alcoholic, but I am an addict.
Yeah.
And I get addicted to certain, I just think, I'm probably addicted to work. I'm addicted to exercise.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that keeps you young.
To an extent.
You think it keeps you old?
Well, we will bring out Dr. Nicola Conlon shortly, but elite athletes,
You know.
I don't know that it's in there. I don't know your bio.
You do know.
No,
You've
I
given
really
it
don't.
away. Am I in 2 figures? Or in 3 figures?
I don't know what it is. I think I'm going to go with you and hope that you're 21.
Okay.
I'm 77,
I know.
but with some
What's
of
that to do with?
inflammation, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I have a lot of inflammation.
Okay, well, that's going to be bad.
I've had loads of drugs for it.
But you
I had
can recover.
colitis.
Oh,
Yeah,
colitis is bad.
colitis is terrible.
But exercise, because we have had a few dames and elite athletes sit in your chair.
Kelly Holmes?
Pardon me?
Kelly Holmes, did you have her?
No, not yet.
Denise?
Oh, yes.
You had Denise?
Yes.
How old was Denise?
Older than her biological age.
Wow.
Because of elite athletics.
Right.
So, but if athletics are helping you and they're positive to your mental health, I mean, what kind of things are you doing?
I was swimming this morning at 7 o'clock.
Oh, swimming's very good.
I felt really bad yesterday because it was the marathon, and I used to do the marathon, but now I can't. But I box,
Yep.
yeah, and I cycle,
Okay.
yeah.
In Lycra with other dads on a Sunday?
In Lycra on my own, not on a Sunday necessarily.
Okay, that I'll allow it.
Yeah, I like being on my own on the bike.
Fine.
Because the thing about when you're out with groups is that, one, they all talk.
Yeah.
And two, I know you shouldn't listen to music when you're riding a bike, but, and three, you've got to go at their pace.
Yeah.
I want to go at my own pace.
You're a go at my own pace kind of guy.
67.
You say what you think. You go at your own pace.
Yeah.
You recognize the importance of mental health.
Yeah,
And that is all going to be very good for the test.
I hope so.
Tony Blair, I think some of his career is
Long pause.
it's etched on his face. I think he looks
Yeah.
a lot older than you do.
Right.
Why would you say that is?
Partly because he is older than I am.
Yeah, but I think he looks a lot older than you do.
Do you?
Yes, you've aged very well by comparison. If you take photos of the two of you together,
Yeah.
then and now, I think...
Funny enough, there was a documentary recently, and it was about the kind of that Tony's time, and so there was a lot of Tony, Gordon, me, Peter Mandelson in the film, and my eldest son Rory, he texted me and he says, "God, you've aged the best out of them."
You have.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy about that. No, I think, Tony, I do think if you look at look at Obama. You know, I mean, he's still a very, very good looking guy. Don't get me wrong.
When I think of Obama, my budget gap widens.
You what?
Never mind. What were you saying about him?
Is that a sort of joke? Is that a Grace type joke? A budget gap. Right, okay.
It was such a Grace Campbell style
Yeah.
joke. I don't know why I said
Has
it.
she used that?
No, not that I know of, not that I'm aware.
Is your husband happy about it?
My budget gap?
Yeah. No, about Obama and the relation to the budget gap.
My husband hates Obama.
Why?
Listen, my husband's not on trial here today.
No, but
He's playfully right-wing. He doesn't believe in the moon landing. My husband listens to a lot of Not Your Podcast. He's from a small town,
what do you do with him?
mostly sex.
Oh, budget gapping. 24/7 budget gapping.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Obama.
He's wholly unvaccinated. Yeah, go on.
Seriously,
Obama.
I'm surprised at this.
Yeah.
Is he Canadian?
Yes,
He's Canadian.
he's very
That's
Canadian.
even worse. I mean, if he was American, I'd get it.
He's from a trucking background.
Right. I bet he doesn't vote for Mark Carney then.
No.
I'm glad he hasn't got a vote.
I don't know if he's ever voted.
Seriously.
He's one of those.
But what does he think when he sees guys like me telling your kids they've got to get interested in politics? And
We're not
vote?
going to tell him that I'm putting the podcast on at bedtime for the kids.
My point about Obama is that everybody in those positions ages.
Yes.
I think with Tony also sometimes he's because he exercises a lot as well. But yeah, I think you can see on. I'm trying to think of somebody else who's aged really well. I think John Major's aged quite well.
Oh, yeah.
Sarkozy hasn't aged well.
But you don't have any...
I saw the other day, John Howard, the former Australian Prime Minister,
Yeah.
looked really old.
Well,
Really
it's
old.
the sun damage in
Oh, is it?
Australia.
Is it?
I would
Okay.
say so.
I love the way you've got a kind of sense of an answer for everything. Who was your favourite Spice Girl then?
Mel B.
Oh, okay. Mine was Jerry.
Yeah. Mine was Jerry until I was single in this country and we did Room 101 with Frank Skinner together. And she told me every pot needs a lid and she kept trying to set me up. And I was like, Jerry Halliwell, how does that work for you historically? I am a walk, sizzling away, no lid.
Maybe if you'd allowed her to set you up, you wouldn't have ended up with this kind of right-wing conspiracy theorist, and you'd have found a really centred brick kind of guy.
Who's ended up with? I'm with him for now.
Oh, right.
What's My Age Again is sponsored by Absolute Collagen. It's skincare you drink to keep skin smooth, firm, and strong from the inside out. Absolute Collagen is obviously a game changer when it comes to looking and feeling your best, but I'd love to know what else you do that makes you feel good in your skin. You guys know the drill. We asked on socials what you do to stay feeling fresh. Hannah from London says, wearing a scrunchie makes me feel young. Yes, I'm in my late 30s, but if rocking a giant 90s hair accessory is wrong, I don't want to be right. Well, Hannah, you're exactly wrong, but I love it about you. If it makes you happy and you want to wear the scrunchie, then great. Joy will keep you feeling young, but it tells us exactly how old you are. It tells us that scrunchies were introduced to you in the early 90s when they were acceptable as cool during the aerobics fashion era. And then I know from that you were born in the 80s like I was. You probably have a lower back tattoo. But as long as it makes you happy, that's great. Zoe from Wimbledon writes, I always feel young when I'm singing and dancing with my 4-year-old son. Rewatching the classics I loved as a kid takes me right back, and belting out the Jungle Book at full volume makes me feel like a child all over again. Zoe, you've got a great son, and I'm glad that you can reconnect with your inner child. Dancing is scientifically proven to make you feel happy and joyful and less stressed, and that translates to youth and vivaciousness. I do not have a great son like that. He's the best looking of my children. He's the least favorite. He won't watch older cartoons. He says that they're ugly because he's sort of been radicalized by the new 3D animation. And I just don't connect with those utopian films. I liked it when something bad would happen. Someone has left a child alone with bears. It's a great film, good music. One thing's for sure, adding Absolute Collagen to my daily routine has made me feel unstoppable. And you can try the 12-week collagen commitment. Get 30% off your first 3 months at absolutecollagen.com/whatsmyAgeAgain. Just use the code whatsmyageagain30 at checkout until August 30th. New customers only, no stacking codes. Until next time, kids, KR is out. Darker subjects before we reveal your biological age. I know that your brother passed away at the age of 62.
I had two brothers who passed away.
Both of them. This is the one who was diagnosed with schizophrenia at age 21, which is so rare, isn't it?
No.
No?
Well,
to be diagnosed that young?
Early 20s is the most common age.
Is it?
Yeah.
And how did your other
He died.
pass away?
The other one died after a double leg amputation.
Oh, no.
And his own joke was one for the cigarettes and one for the booze. So it was a sort of lifestyle.
Okay. And so does this have an impact on your resolve to be cold water swimming and biking?
Yeah, I'd say it does. I think, certainly my interest in mental health started with Donald, my older brother, when he was diagnosed. Because that was he was in the army, and it was such a big thing for us as a family. We didn't know anything about schizophrenia. And it was life-changing. I remember my mother, not long before she died, saying that she said, my life changed when we got that phone call about Donald. It never changed back again. And that wasn't, not in a bad way, but it's just that it completely changed what she did as a parent, because he became, listen, he was amazing. He actually had a pretty good life considering. He had a job, he had a marriage which didn't work out, but he had loads of friends. I mean, there's hundreds of people came to his funeral. But it's a horrible, horrible, horrible illness.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started to get interested in mental health. And then when I had my own psychotic breakdown, I remember part of the thing that really flipped it, and something that I just realised I was completely out of control, was when the thought I was having was that, oh my God, this is the same as Donald, because I was hearing voices and he used to talk about hearing voices. So yeah, but getting through, as you say, I'm 67, getting through 62 was kind of a bit of an in-joke in the family, because literally both of them died at age 62.
And when you talk about mental health, is it specifically related to men?
No, not really, but I think that men definitely have more of an issue with not being able to be open about their mental health.
Yeah.
Now listen, I know women who don't like to talk about mental health, and I know men who are very, very open, but in general, I think men find it much, much harder to ask for help. So I think it's just the way that evolves, because I am seen as a alpha male, blah, 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 blah. I think that's where I've gravitated to. And I think that one of the reasons I got into mental health when I left government was because I was trying to find the causes and the things that related to what I could do.
Yeah.
And what I can do is kind of message and strategize and campaign and political influence and all that stuff. And so that's kind of just one of the causes that I sort of feel compelled to be involved in, really.
Yeah. I think it's great, especially from your position, and especially as a man, even though it affects everyone. I hear so much less about it. And to know that your brother was diagnosed at 21, and that's not even an uncommon age to be diagnosed.
No, I'm surprised you'd think. I'm pretty sure that 20s is the most common age for diagnosis.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a young man's thing.
Do you come from a family, presumably, of really clever people? Do you think clever people, because a lot more is going on, do you think, from an anecdotal standpoint, you're more susceptible to mental illness?
I don't know. No, I don't actually. I suspect that in the modern age, I think a lot of mental illness is driven by poverty.
Well, yeah.
I think, and stress. I think a lot of mental illness is driven by division. So no, I don't think necessarily. I don't kind of buy into I remember one of the few public rows I've had with Tony Blair was when he wrote his own book, his biography, and he said he was writing very nicely about me, but then he talked about how, about my mental health stuff. And he said, in my experiences, there are two kinds of crazy people. There are people who are just crazy and they're dangerous. And there are people whose craziness gives them a creative edge and energy. And that was me.
Okay.
And I said to him, no, that is a really bad caricature. So no, I think any caricature. I think we all have mental health,
Yeah.
and I think when you actually drill down into what sort of people become mentally ill, I think you'll find it kind of goes right across all the classes and all the different levels of society. But I suspect it's people. I don't think cleverness. No, I don't.
Okay. Because I think a lot of clever people seem to have either mental illness issues or schizophrenia or neurodiversity, because this is my own understanding, which is rudimentary. I feel like my mental health is very robust, but if I'm thinking of my brain like a computer, I don't turn it on that often. So the hard drive is kept cool.
Is it not on all the time?
There's not a lot going on.
Really?
But if you are
I don't believe that.
Oh, it's true. I'm very relaxed a lot of the time. I'm just getting by, folding towels, going to the music classes. And so I feel like there's very little chance of a short circuit.
Okay.
But if you've got a very busy mind and you're doing frontline politics or you're an academic or, God forbid, you've been to war and you throw PTSD into the mix, if there's loads of going on, then maybe your computer gets hot.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things Fiona says about me is I never really switch off.
Yeah.
And when I do switch off, it's interesting. When I published my diaries, I hadn't really thought about it, but I suddenly realised that every time I slow down, I would go straight into depression. Anyway, I'm glad that my family will be pleased to think that you think that we're clever.
Well, you're obviously clever. So is that how you keep it at bay then, now that you've identified, mental health strategies and you talk about it so much? Do you just stay busy? What other?
Yeah, I do stay busy, but I think, no, I have worked out other ways of dealing with it.
The
Music,
3 Fs?
The 3 Fs, yeah. Fiona, family, friends. I think if Fiona and I are getting on,
Yep.
and if I'm getting on with the kids and the kids seem reasonably happy, my mental health is usually better. Sport definitely helps. Music definitely helps. Reading, writing.
Yeah.
So I've got loads of different things. I've got little techniques that I use the whole time. I've got much better at identifying when I'm about to go into a plunge.
Okay.
And sometimes I cannot stop myself, but sometimes I can. When I've realised that I can't, I just give up. And it's not that it's fine, it's horrible, but I latch on to this thing about, well, you've been through it before, you can do it again. It's not the end of the world. I kind of get into that mindset. But it's not nice. It's not nice, and it's horrible for Fiona.
Yeah. And how long have you been married to Fiona?
We're not married.
Oh, how long have you been fucking?
How long have we been budget gapping? How old am I? So you tell me how old I am again. 67.
Chronologically, you're 67.
45 years.
Oh. Because I know that Dr. Nicola Conlon has said before, studies show that men are in better health and they're biologically younger in a happy relationship.
Right.
That it's positive health-wise
Okay.
for men to be in a healthy romantic relationship.
Okay. Well, we've definitely been in a long relationship.
Yeah.
It's not always been happy.
No, of course not.
But I think I do. This goes back to the point about getting through stuff.
Yeah.
I think we're very, very happy together
Yeah.
now. Ups and downs along the way.
Of course.
Yeah,
Do you think people give up too easily in
Yeah, I do.
relationships?
I do.
What does Fiona have to do to get the ring?
She doesn't want it.
She doesn't want to get married to you.
We've got a civil partnership,
Oh, nice. That's fine.
and it was perfect because we did it during COVID, so we didn't have to have an event at all.
Oh,
So no, we've got a civil partnership. She's a feminist, and I'm an atheist. She's an atheist as well, and I've always felt marriage is a religious thing.
yeah.
You're doing it in the eyes of God. If you don't believe in God, it's like the House of Lords thing. If you don't believe in God, why are you getting married?
I love it. I love how alternative you are.
Oh,
I think this is vibing very young.
right.
This is why the young people can't get enough of you.
Okay. That's
You
good.
do cycle to your own pace, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I think that's privilege as well. It's quite a privileged position to be in.
Yeah.
Because I decided when I left Downing Street, not that I didn't like Tony Blair, I thought he was a terrific Prime Minister and I'm still very close to him. But I just thought, I'm not going to have a boss again.
That's very good health-wise.
Yeah.
What is your diet like now?
Broadly good. Broadly good. Fiona's a vegetarian.
Great.
She's a very good cook. I have got a real weakness for chocolate.
Yeah.
I mean, a real weakness.
What kind of chocolate? Dark chocolate?
No, not really. I like. What's my favourite? My favourite probably is white Toblerone.
Oh, white.
You know the big ones you buy in the airport? I can see one of those off without even stopping.
White is the worst of the chocolate.
Yeah, I like white Toblerone. I'm not saying I like white chocolate.
No.
I like white Toblerone.
With the bits of nougat inside.
Love it. Love it.
That's a very jet-setting chocolate preference.
Is it?
Because it is an airport chocolate.
Yeah, but I didn't get my first Toblerone in an airport.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a Canadian.
Weirdo. Well, it's my dad would go back to Ireland, where he's from,
Right.
and bring back Tato's and Toblerone.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we would see it.
Yeah.
And the rest was anti-vax sentiment, right-wing podcasts. Every once in a while, though, a Toblerone.
No, so that is my weakness. Chocolate is my weakness.
Okay.
Yeah, I try not to. And most days I do okay, but some days I lapse and it's bad.
Because of the addictive personality. Yeah. I think you're entitled to a bit of chocolate. You've also said that you're obsessed with sleep.
Mm-hmm.
How much sleep are we talking?
As much as possible.
Oh, great. How long can you sleep for?
Not long enough. I regularly go to bed before 10.
Great.
And I would then, if I do that, I wake up probably just before 6.
That's just enough.
It's just enough.
I think you could do more.
And I occasionally have a nap. And I can't do, Fiona's amazing. She can have 10-minute naps.
Oh.
I can't do that.
No.
It's got to be a couple of hours, minimum.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
Do you sleep in the same room with your civil partner?
Certainly.
That's really nice.
Yeah, why do people not do that?
I currently sleep with my children like the dog on Peter Pan. I'm in the nursery.
Listen, we need to sort this out.
I know, but they're 2
It's not
and
working.
3. It's not working.
You're not. You've got to get rid of this conspiracy theories, right-wing
I know.
shock jock.
But you know what? Maybe he would be a great asset to you. Because,
me?
Yes, to you personally.
Right.
Because you have said that you struggle to wrap your head around the mindset. He doesn't love Trump. He doesn't love him.
No.
But I think that Bobby offers an insight into a demographic who felt largely ignored
Yeah.
and gaslit and lied to by performative
listen,
politicians. And
He's got the most performative politician in history.
Yeah.
Who lies and gaslights with every time he opens his mouth.
right, but at least he can see it.
No, he doesn't see it because he doesn't see that.
He doesn't like Trump. I'm just saying
Okay.
he really hates Justin Trudeau.
Right.
And he really, really didn't like Joe Biden.
No.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
A lot.
what about when he's smelling all the kids?
Who?
Joe Biden, there are all these clips of him just getting close to kids and going,
I don't remember that. Did he do that?
you got to get on my husband's algorithm.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm so glad I'm not your husband's algorithm. I really am. Does Grace know all this?
Grace knows, yeah.
Does she?
I've got a type. She knows. My husband's a really nice guy, though.
Is he?
Yeah.
But you're not sleeping with him?
I am sleeping with him in the day.
In the day?
If I get like a window at 10 a.m. after
Well, a
the school
budget
run,
gap
my budget gap
happens.
widens. Yeah,
in the day
it does.
while the kids are at school
Yes.
reading my book.
If there was an excerpt from your book, one short, if I get my husband's attention for a few minutes, which one do you think I should point him toward?
God, I don't know what he's going to like because I don't know him. I only know the little that you've told me, which is not really very,
That's all there is.
very good. I think he should. But why doesn't he just start at the beginning?
Okay.
Or why don't you read it to him? When you've had your afternoon bonk and you just sit down, you do the audiobook
Okay.
to him, but you do it in a nice way.
Sure.
I think you should just read the whole thing. Because the trouble is, here's a good one, Charles de Gaulle, politics is too serious a matter to be left to politicians. That's the point.
Yeah.
People have got to get involved, otherwise it just goes tits up.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether I want Bobby involved, though.
All right. Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing regardless.
Thank you.
And you don't have to worry about Bobby because he does spend most of his time on the golf course.
He plays golf as well.
Yeah. It's a 5-hour hobby. I know. But
I'm shocked. Everything I've heard about you just goes totally against what you've told me today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What have you heard about me?
Just Grace says
Nice
she's
girl.
so cool, she's this, she's that, and I find she's married to this Bobby guy.
And now you know why my biological age is 77.
77.
77 is mine.
Okay.
What do you think yours is going to be?
21.
You really think 21?
Well, what is it? What
Despite-
is it? What do they test? If it's inflammation, I'm fucked.
Okay, it is inflammation. It really
Well, I'm
focuses on
123.
inflammation. So why do you think you're going to be fucked for inflammation?
Because I've had lots of it in my life.
The colitis,
Colitis.
that is inflammation.
A lot of people say depression's about inflammation.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The Inflamed Mind. There's a book about it.
Oh.
Anyway, look, if I'm above, okay, I'm not going to be 21, but if I'm above 35, I'm not buying it.
Despite knowing...
I'm demanding a recount. I
It
want a new system. I want a new system.
Okay. Do you think...
Why is it all about inflammation?
I think inflammation is a good marker of biological age. And as cells age chronologically, they have certain inflammation patterns that even if you're not as old as those people, you could, through stress or poor diet or lack of exercise, also have markers of high inflammation.
But this thing, when we find it out,
Yep.
does it tell me, does it have any relation to how long I'm going to live?
No, because, this is the good news, biological age is completely reversible.
Reversible?
Yes. So if you had a biological age of, let's say, 21,
Yeah.
and you wanted it to be 20, Dr. Nicola Conlon could counsel you to do certain meditative practices or maybe ice baths or
Right.
take magnesium.
Okay.
Do you
So
take
can
any
get younger.
supplements?
No.
Okay.
Is that bad?
Who knows? I'm 77.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers.
Have you done anything since you discovered you were 77?
Absolutely not.
You haven't changed?
No. I'm trying to get mine higher actually now.
Are you? You want to be 100
Yeah.
before you, before you jump. How long do you want to live for?
I need to live for a really long time.
Really?
Yeah. What about you?
I'm becoming quite resigned to mortality.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Why's that?
Don't know. I just think, you have your time.
How old are your parents?
They were in their 80s when they died.
And they died.
Yeah.
Does Grace have any grandparents on Fiona's side?
Fiona's mum's 100.
Oh, I did think that. I saw a
Yeah.
birthday
In fact, I was with her
post.
yesterday watching the football,
Oh,
and she kept asking me why Pep Guardiola shaves his head.
why does he?
He wasn't there to answer. He was on the TV managing Manchester City.
Okay.
Talking about me getting through 62.
Yeah.
So my dad died Fiona's dad died in 1994.
Okay.
My dad died in 2004. My mum died in 2014.
Oh.
So we were all convinced Audrey was going to die in 2024, but she's through it,
There you go.
and she's now 100.
Always an outlier.
Yeah.
I think that you could be an outlier, Mr. Alistair Campbell.
What, get really old?
Yes.
No, I don't want to be old.
I think that your children are going to give you a run for their money. They're not going to make you a granddad till you're very old
Really?
because they've got too much to do. Look at Grace, jet setting. She's too successful.
You can be
And
successful and have kids.
no,
You can.
if you're a man.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
I mean, my career has taken a bit of a backseat because I'm relentlessly pregnant. But I'm still around, sort
You're
of,
very around.
doing podcasts now.
You're doing loads of stuff.
And you're vivacious and you're young and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
And your peers, your counterparts, not so hot. And you're biking and you're cold water swimming.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I am ready to find out your biological age.
Okay. Up for it.
Does this feel like an election?
No.
No. Alistair Campbell, your result is 65 years old, 2 years younger
Okay.
than your chronological age.
I wanted something more dramatic.
You're not happy with it.
No.
Do you know it is younger?
Yeah, but it's same. It's the same. It's all in the Saga advertising market bracket, isn't it?
Well, I think that there have been ups and downs that you described to me that, you would think maybe it was younger, but then with the inflammation, then you would think it was older. So, Nicola, what's going on?
Yeah,
Go on, Nicola, tell me about it.
so honestly, like just listening and then like about lifestyle, about, suffering from depression, and also when you mentioned the colitis, this is actually a really good result.
Right.
So we know that, biological age, this is one that is measuring inflammation. Inflammation is a real key driver of the aging process, especially any chronic inflammation across
So you
the
took
body.
out inflammation on about 21, yeah?
Yes.
So
what you're saying?
the fact that you have had inflammatory conditions, depression, we know that being in a state of chronic stress, we know that people with depression, if it's not managed, can be about 10 years above their chronological age. So the fact that you are coming back younger, even with all of this, is a really, really good result. And I think it's a testimony to the lifestyle factors that you're putting in place to mitigate these things.
Is
So
she this nice to everybody?
No, not to me.
Is she not?
She told me to exercise. I told her to get fucked.
True story.
They're true.
I said, I will fight you with my bare hands, Nicola.
Do you not exercise?
It was very ableist, I think.
Yeah.
If you saw Mr. Alistair Campbell and you just looked at the luminescence of the skin, you hadn't seen the result, but you read the questionnaire, you knew about the colitis and you knew about the depression and the breakdowns and also the history of alcoholism, what would you guess the result would come back as?
A lot higher, definitely.
80s, 90s.
Yeah, like definitely a lot higher. Just all of those different things are pro-inflammatory. And because this specific test is definitely looking at inflammation.
So what are the other tests you can do?
So there's things like an epigenetic test. So that's looking at patterns of different genes that are switched on and off. So as you get older, different patterns of genes turn on or turn off. This one's looking at patterns of glycans. So these are little markers that are on your immune cells. And again, if we took a blood sample from a young person, they'd have a very specific pattern. Take it from an old person, it's a very different pattern because you get pro-inflammatory as you get older.
Right.
So this one is very much focused on inflammation. So it could be different if you look at a different marker, but given there are some reasons why you may have come back older and you haven't, shows that the things you were doing are really working. And one thing I just wanted to pick up on that you mentioned a couple of times was the swimming, especially the cold water swimming, which I know you're a fan of. Now, there's a lot more people talking about, cold plunging and open water swimming in cold water. And a lot of, going, is it a fad? Is it really beneficial? But actually, there's some great scientific studies now that are showing that cold exposure to the body actually lowers inflammation. So it's a little bit of stress, so it is uncomfortable, but that triggers the body into having a reaction that's like, okay, let's survive this period of stress, let's lower anything damaging to the body. So there is science behind it, so definitely, keep that up.
Yeah, will do.
You're every day in the Lido.
If we're here, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the coldest you'll go?
Well, the coldest it's been is 1 degree.
How long do you swim for it? That's
A couple of minutes.
Yeah. So they say about around, and I know if you're swimming, you
A minute
probably...
degree. I do 2 minutes per degree when it's really cold.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know that swimming, you're going to do a little bit longer, but it's about around 11 minutes of uncomfortable cold each week can get these beneficial responses.
I actually love it now when it's really cold.
What does it feel like? Like from when you go in to when you go out?
If you're feeling a bit edgy or tired or fuzzy in the head, whatever, the immediate impact is amazing. You just like a shock. And then you go through a very, 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 very cold phase. And then there's a danger that when you've got to watch out is when you suddenly start to feel warm.
Yeah. Hypothermia.
Yeah. And I've had that once.
How'd you get out of the water?
I already got out.
So what'd you do?
Couldn't do anything. I basically, what happened, we were in Switzerland, Lake Geneva. And we had the dog, and the dog goes crazy when neither of us goes in the water. So only one of us can go in at a time. So I went in first, and I stayed in too long. I got out. I was looking after the dog while Fiona swam. And I didn't get changed. I didn't get dressed. I didn't get anything. And then suddenly I felt my head flopping, and I couldn't keep my head up. And then I was hallucinating as well.
What did you see?
Every time I shut my eyes and reopened them, was a different scene.
What?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Horrible, so scary scene, not beautiful.
Yeah, it was scary. I thought I was having a stroke.
Yeah. So there's a limit, there's the good and the bad side of it. You've obviously got to be careful, but that feeling that you describe, which, before that, the beneficial feeling, is actually your body releases dopamine, which is like the feel good hormone. Yeah. So again, there's a lot of interest in looking at studies with depression and improving mood. And it can increase it by such an amount that it almost has an effect throughout the entire day.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you feel that after,
definitely.
do you usually do it in the morning?
7 o'clock,
Yeah.
Does your body release dopamine because it thinks you're going to die?
It is like this temporary stress response, does all these different things in your body. And it's a bit like exercise. It's the same concept: exercise, fasting, cold shock, sauna, anything that's putting a little bit of temporary stress on the body actually has a protective effect.
Okay.
And it's kind of back to our evolution where our body's designed to survive.
I don't think I have that.
Well, you don't have the desire to have that, or you don't?
I just don't think my body would do that for me. I don't think my body would go, we've got to survive, Catherine. I think it'd go, lay down.
Well, I got addicted to it.
Great. So you're saying addiction can be good?
Yeah. Well,
On the subject, how do you feel about the Toblerone?
Oh, well, sugar, not great for biological age. Interestingly, cold water therapy improves glucose tolerance. So
Okay.
it improves how your body reacts to sugar. So,
Right.
I mean,
Ah.
if you
Don't
have
tell
your
me that.
Toblerone,
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
but no scientific evidence for linking the Toblerone after the cold plunge.
And
but,
I think for alcoholics or recovering alcoholics, there's a lot of alcoholism in my family. And when they were on the wagon, they would be eating ice cream and chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
It kept that at bay.
Oh, yeah.
So if it's going to be Toblerone or like
Yeah.
whiskey,
it's better. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but don't give me excuse for Toblerone. Just don't. The other one is Magnum. Magnum. I'm an absolute sucker for Magnum.
what else can Mr. Campbell do? Because he wants to die, but
Yeah.
I want him to live forever.
Do you? That's
Yeah.
nice. Thank you.
Because
Because I wanted to die.
I feel like that's how I took it.
Did you?
You were just okay with mortality.
Yeah.
No, I need you to fight forever against
Okay.
it.
Well, I can fight, but I'm just saying I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be all right.
I mean, you're doing
I don't
everything
want a slow
right.
death. I don't want a slow death.
No, I agree.
But I think in terms of like things to do, like you clearly have a very good lifestyle. You've got practices in place that, keep your mental health in good condition. You're doing exercise, the cycling, the swimming, the diet seems good. The only thing I would say is more is not always better. So when you kind of said, I'm addicted to exercise and I do this every day, and, it's when you do too much exercise, when
don't
you
give me that
do
moderation
too
thing.
much, but it is the body really does like balance. It doesn't like nothing, and it doesn't like too much.
Right.
And we do see in biohackers, people that are doing all of these things because they want to go to the extreme and think more is better. They actually tend to come back with a higher biological age, and they're really shocked because they're going, hang on, I'm doing cryotherapy every day, I'm doing exercise, I'm doing fasting, and actually it's just too much. So I think it's not like a green flag to be like, yeah, go for it, do more. It's acknowledging that what you're doing is doing really well.
Okay. Well, your book is available everywhere you get books. What's the other book?
That's for primary schools. You've got primary school child.
This is the one I need for my husband. Oh, Little Experts, Alistair Campbell, Why Politics Matters.
Try him on that one first.
Oh,
Yeah, read that one to him.
this is so great. You are really, you know what?
What?
Regardless of biological age, which yours is very good, by the way, it's younger than mine, and Dr. Nicola is impressed. You are going to live forever through this legacy. You're changing the world. You never stop speaking to the young people. You're going out of your way to visit Tyla from 10 to 6 on a Sunday.
10 to 2.
Gen Zs, they can't manage a shift longer. My husband is going to really struggle with this, but
Will he?
yeah, this is awesome. Can I keep this one?
Of course you can.
I'm so excited.
Read them both to Bobby in bed of an afternoon.
Thank you so much to Alistair Campbell for joining us on What's My Age Again. Alistair has written many books about his life, but his most recent offerings are books that help young people to engage in politics, called Why Politics Matter and Alistair Campbell Talks Politics. Buy them for your kids, or for your husband, or for yourself if you want an easy explainer. I've got the kids one. Taking it home. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and tell us what you think on our socials. And I'll be learning what an MP is. This podcast is brought to you by Absolute Collagen. Thanks again to them for being part of the show. Try it for yourself and join my 12-week collagen commitment. Absolute Collagen are giving you 30% off a whole 12 weeks so you can see this too. Use code What'sMyAgeAgain30 at AbsoluteCollagen.com to redeem now. New customers only, not able to be used with other discount codes, valid until the 30th of August.